I presume everybody's from Cleveland Township.
That's their three. That's their on the board.
Do you know?
No.
This is Jeff Maherter.
Hi,
He's
Jeff.
the treasurer. Lance Miller.
Lance?
And you know Joe.
Yeah, right. Okay, we're here to discuss the minimum maintenance of the Cleveland Township roads. What are there, 3 of them? 4? Okay. So I believe that one of them, number 3, correct? Number 4? Number 4. On item number 4.
No, it's number 3. Sorry.
Number 3, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Did not want to be become a maintenance limited minimum maintenance road, but 2, 3, and 4 were okay. There was no objections.
Those three.
Didn't say Brad
1,
Bartlett.
2, and 4.
Well, Bartlett, you said
Pardon?
Bartlett had a question about one of them?
The same one.
Same one,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, number 3. That went along
So,
section 1.
What's your thoughts?
Well, my only question is, some of these roads are getting so bad, the sand, you know. What our intent is to put some kind of a sign up so that people that aren't familiar with the area, you know, don't go down them and get stuck.
And I believe that's the requirement, that you have to post a sign at these minimum maintenance roads to travel at your own risk. So,
I think your question was, Lisa said this, are you still going to be maintaining some, or that's what?
They're actually minimum maintenance, but they're just bad road.
I know they are. I mean, they're all saying, as long as dry weather, you can't get down in a two-wheel drive a lot of times anyhow.
Well, I don't know why we should be going backwards on it. I mean, why can't we build, I mean, why not do a little work on it, put some gravel on some of them spots?
You got banks that,
That's a north-south road. Do you think that gravel's gonna stay on there?
there's a few of those flats we could do something with, but we're living on the hills and stuff.
Why can't you, when you're grading that road, make it wider too? I mean, you can't even hardly get a tractor down the way it is because of the,
Well, you know, Ivan, we can make them wider, but we're gonna blade that sand out there to build it up.
you already got the sand out there anyway. I mean,
Yeah, but if we do that, and we don't have signs up, then it'll be easier for people to get stuck here.
well, that's our only access to that ground.
Do you have a fence runs in between that on your half section in there, a fence that divides those two fields?
No, there's not a fence, but I mean, well, there is on part of it. That half mile line, that pasture cuts across, and then, so I mean, the only way that I can get in and out there is using that road. So,
It was just our concern, we don't want it, it may be your guys' intent to keep it at the way it is now, but it's our concern that like maybe later down the road, different board members that come on, they say, oh, well, this is a minimum maintenance road, and we're not gonna grade it as much now. And then I have concerns for, I mean, my kids and me drive over there, if things aren't mowed up and trees and there's an accident, I have a concern for that type of thing too. But I'm not saying that you guys won't maintain it, because Lance told Ivan, you know, we plan on keeping it the same as it is. I sure don't want to go backwards, because we have a hard enough time, you know, right now getting down that road. But that's just our concern, is if it went backwards, and I feel if you put a minimum maintenance sign on it, further down the road, that'd give the board an excuse to say, well, we're not going to maintain it.
Is there any other sign can be put up?
From my understanding, if you go to a minimum maintenance road, the sign has to be put up. I think there's no, it's either yes or no.
have you guys had trouble with that road before with getting people calling you or something?
I Oh, well, some, but, you know, I mean, like travel at your own risk or, you know, something like that is, that's something we're not aware of here.
What exactly legally does minimum maintenance mean?
I don't have to talk to the county attorney for the,
I know one thing, it alleviates you
Right.
liability.
Yeah, that's all we're really after.
And that's, yeah. And I don't, to answer your question, I don't think there's anything in between. I'm not aware of it if there is. If we could try and find out.
It's just,
But I don't think there is. I'm not aware of it.
So I guess the issue is that one road. The rest of them, I mean, no one's contested that. I mean, we could go ahead and do the resolution
we just go ahead and go with those other three.
and exclude number 3.
we've had no
That's-
one, I've had
no
no
one's-
contact, no one.
I mean, do you have?
No, we're
No?
not
Okay.
interested in the road, we live the other direction. Thank you.
So if we abandon those 3, then the township will have to put up signs.
Well, they won't be abandoned, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but I
the
mean,
idea.
according to the minimum maintenance regulations that, which is a Kansas statute, you're required to put up a minimum maintenance sign, and I'm certain that Philip has all the verbiage for that. So,
I always mail it to them after you approve.
yeah.
Or did you contact the landowners or not? I think that's north, but we've had down south that you contact the landowners and let them know what your plans are, that way there's no surprises.
Well, we have contacted the land since.
Since this year, they've had no complaints on anybody else has. I don't know the concern besides them.
We just figured by putting it in the paper was good enough.
Well,
If-
that's,
I know, I
If you
understand that,
start doing the landowners, you know, some live clear out of the country,
I understand that,
and where do you stop?
I understand.
So, you know, you do the people that farm it, or landowners, or the mail carrier, I mean, you know, where do you stop?
I understand. Well, the person that owns, I mean, just, I think they have in the past, it seemed to me like that, in County, they have come to us and said they contacted them and didn't have any complaints or something.
Really though, that road, you know, if we don't put minimum maintenance on it, we need to put up something.
There's several around the county that's, you don't dare drive down.
Well, that's your guys'
Drive across with it.
I think as far as the resolution, we can, if you're in agreement, we can exclude number 3, and that's at northwest 40th Avenue, running north and south between northwest 80th Street and northwest 90th, along the line between sections 1 and 2 in Township 23, Range 14 West in Stafford County, Kansas. If that's what you want to do. I mean, it's your call.
What kind of trouble have you had? I mean, just people getting stuck and thinking you're the responsible party on the deal, or
Well,
are they local people, or are they?
Mostly not.
yeah, well, some people that might live in town, you know, go out that way and think they know where they're going, but they don't. And start down the road, then they can't get turned around, and
There's a lot of traffic on that road.
more than there should be.
I know.
All right.
There
Yeah.
is.
Oh, our road patrol guy said he's worked there for 3 years, and he's only met one person on it.
Yeah, I've been out there last week. Highway.
Well, yeah, when I was sitting in the tree stand, there was a lot of traffic.
I know Andrew uses it a lot. You just come off the highway, so that thing gets where we can't use it. Somebody taking equipment down the highway instead of going down that road. Tractors and combines and stuff, so.
So it's up to you guys, like I say, as a township, you're your own entity. I mean, all thing we can do is pass a resolution excluding some of these roads as minimum maintenance. And so,
Well, Well, I'd say we go ahead and get the other three
Okay.
involved, and then we can discuss with the landowners on what to do
Okay.
with this other mine, if anything.
Then you might talk to Philip and see if there's something else you can do. I don't know if there's an enter at your own risk sign or whatever you can put up there. I don't, like, I'm not aware of what Philip put out there.
No, I agree, the road's not very good, but I mean, we don't wanna, we can't go backwards on it, because
It's not our intent to go backwards on it.
At least they're in a good point too, I mean, down the road. It's just one big one.
Okay, so you're in agreement to exclude item number 3 on this resolution? Okay. Do we have to repass this? Does it have to be published again?
This resolution has to be published.
Okay. So we have to be published 2 times,
No, this
No.
is just the ones.
just once.
Excluding number 3, it has to be
Excluding.
revised.
Okay? All right. Thank you much.
Yeah, county attorney.
Have a happy holiday.
Let's see what he's got any suggestion, maybe how you can solve that. You gotta check and see if
you guys,
Yeah, yes,
get some done.
Earl, did you have something? No?
Just interested.
All right, good, I'm glad.
Okay,
One of these days, we'll have more room. Here's your,
Anything
talk to you
about this we need to know?
I got to hear back to the county attorney on this way.
you want to wait?
It's up to you.
Okay.
These are all-
Yeah, sure. Sent you copies of
I have it.
the farm lease that we're working on, we're standing on it. I haven't heard back from Joe on it. I emailed him a copy. It's Friday morning. So, I don't know if you guys had any questions about it or comments.
So you wanted to run this by Joe just to make certain that
We both thought we
in
should.
agreement?
Yeah,
Okay.
because we changed it quite a bit from the.
Do we have a copy of the
list.
present one, so we can have a comparison of what's
I don't know.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
I like
We
it.
added a lot of language to this one that wasn't in the original. I go get your copy or something.
Yeah, we made a lot of improvement, because that last one was done kind of
It's pretty vague.
spur of the moment, because when Fort Hayes gave it up, they didn't have much time to put some things in place.
Well, I understand you need something that protects both parties too.
Right.
I don't see anything basically wrong with this lease. It looks pretty good from what I read. When I interpreted it.
We changed the date, instead of January 1, more incorporates how most Kansas lease laws go from March 1 to March 1. Be clever.
And we changed it from 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
The original one was 3. And so we changed it to 5, but everything else is pretty much the same.
We established,
Probably the other thing we did, we've been putting some lime on it. We want to protect ourselves because the lime is worth more than 1 year's after. We put lime in it last for, I think that if you look at case data, it will last 3 years.
That's under the special terms. If we pull out of the agreement, we would pay reimbursement for the line costs. And there's a clause in there that I gave 30-day notice on both sides, termination. You know, in the event that somebody wanted to build something out there or something, for whoever knows what.
Well, see what you got, either party can terminate it.
It's on the front page, I think.
Is it just the line you're asking that on? Is it specified line, or
The ag line.
is that the only thing?
Well, and if we were terminated and there was lime unused, then we'd be compensated for the unused portion.
Before
But
they,
if you're using
before the
manure or
penalties.
some other product that also is supposed to last a long period of time, then you
I would
expecting
think
that?
we'd be, I'm not a manure man,
Okay. I just, it specifies lime, I didn't know.
Well, yeah, that's what he requested, so I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
But like I said, Joe hasn't looked at I haven't heard back from Joe. I hope I do this week.
Well, I don't see anything.
I don't want anybody to sign anything until it's not in.
Just wait for him,
His
and
approval.
contingent upon his.
and we would be willing to, since the last one was signed 3 years ago, we'd be willing to up our rate to be more in line with the current.
Which is what?
I'm not willing to disclose what we would pay until I have a concrete answer that would be willing.
If we approve this, it'd be our discretion whether to approve what you are willing to pay then, or not, is that correct?
Well, I would assume that too, but
We need to know too, I mean, if we compare ourselves to.
You mean to
I
what he's
think
gonna
what
pay?
he's saying is
Well,
prior.
yeah, before you sign, you
We're sorry.
you will know.
I understand
Yeah,
you're
no,
thinking, other
yeah.
people wants to bid on too, so you don't want to say what I'm gonna get, so.
you know, we put a lot of time and investment cleaning up the place, and we'd like to continue farming, and we hope we've
Yeah.
done a good
No,
job.
you'll know what they're offering.
Well,
All the blanks will be filled in before anybody signs.
yeah, I'd like to say it does, it's extremely, competitive. We started out there.
Still have a ways to go.
So maybe, what, I was supposed to be here today,
Me too.
at least by Friday.
As soon as I get the sheet packs.
So if we're waiting on him to go over this, and we can get approval.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so.
I'd given her the number that I'd like
Okay.
to offer to lease it for.
Okay. All right, thanks.
We'll do it. Thank you. Thank you.
Want to do these? Are they all corrections or what? What's going on?
Mhm.
Anything we need to know?
Short, yeah,
Pretty short.
we have 12 minutes, but
Pardon?
we have 12 minutes.
12 minutes? That would work.
Okay.
That would work, but it needs to actually be an executive session. Can we do that?
For 10 or 12?
Yeah, for 10. 10 minutes for public.
Okay.
Personnel,
But it won't probably take that long. 10 minutes.
Non-elected?
For non-elected.
I make a motion to have an executive session for non-elected personnel for 10 minutes.
Well, second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session for 10 minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Hard to do theirs every year. Not everybody does, but they require you to do theirs every year. So
And this, without reading the whole thing, allows us to go across county lines.
it allows
Sliding down
them
the line, full speed.
mostly, this is,
Well,
But I mean, I'm talking in general.
in general, it would allow us to go across county lines, yes. On every
The
road.
stadium, they have an issue with that. It's a mile away, they can't go to that combine. I've heard that,
No,
but it's not true.
We can do that. I mean, primarily, we do it on request though, instead of just folks going on over there and taking care of their fire. I mean, it's their fire to call us and ask us. We'll always
That's
go.
right, you weren't at
If we have the staffing, we'll always go.
Well,
But it's not,
stadium's a mile away from the county line, by the time any of their trucks get there.
yeah.
It's 50.
But what they need to do is they need to run it through their dispatch.
Slide down this way.
So they can kind of give us the
Slide down a little bit.
the blessing
Slide down
to
this
come
way.
over. Instead of just going over there because one of our people has property over there. It's not really appropriate to go without being asked.
I understand, that can be done quickly, can it not? That's should,
quick as they can do it.
that should inhibit them. I mean, by the time the truck gets there, that should have been taken care of, I would think.
Well, they really ought to ask us though to come. I mean,
How are they gonna ask if they don't have any assessment of whatsoever?
call the dispatch, and then the dispatch, I mean, it's pretty simple. They call the
Dispatch
dispatch.
just says, okay, come over there.
Yeah, I mean, their dispatch, you just, if you call me in, I'm the dispatcher of Pawnee County, and so we got a fire just on the other side, you know, we can provide assistance immediately, get there faster. They said, okay, pass that on, and then they get on the phone, call our dispatch, our dispatch radios them out. Pawnee County requesting assistance. So you know about the snow, the only other thing that I was gonna say is, I know you guys take a little bit of grief about the annex. I think it's a beautiful building. Can I give it to you? We've had two of them, and don't forget it. And it was really nice. Take it over there. And I wanted to pass that from the firefighters and the EMS people that they really appreciate that complex being there available for those visits.
Thank you. So does this need just an informal agreement, or is this has to be a?
I think that's up to you guys. If you want me to sign it, I
I
can
don't
sign it.
think you've ever signed it before.
I can sign it, if that's all right with you. Okay. All right, thanks.
Okay. Is everybody here?
No, they're back at them. While we're waiting, I'll make a motion to approve this tax roll corrections.
I will second that motion. Come on, come on. Yeah, look at it.
Are we gonna vote on?
All right, it is good. We're waiting for the
Good morning, Laurel.
Okay.
That hurt.
We came with it.
It's been moved and seconded. We do these tax roll corrections. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
We came early, so we got preferred seating.
We having a party?
Morning.
I wanted to bring everybody and introduce you officially.
All right, let's do that.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
This is Kelly McDermott. She is my counterpart from Pratt, who has been helping at Stafford. This is Todd Taylor. He's the new appointed administrator. And that is Rita Furman, and she's the one who's been helping in an interim position. She's only here for maybe another month to help Todd get off on the right foot on the nursing side. And so she's been helping us with all of the clinical stuff at the hospital.
And Mary
Do you know
Hillbrand.
those spelled?
I thought I saw Mary.
She's right here.
B-E-R-N-A-N.
B-U-U-R-M-A-N. U-U-R-R-M-A-N.
Yes. It's a test.
And you're a happy soul, it's gonna be for that for a short time. I already told you our agreement.
We're just friends.
Okay, do you want a packet?
Sure.
Uh-huh. If you got one, I don't need one, but. Okay, I really, really hope this is what you boys wanted to see. If not, you'll tell me and I'll tell you if we can make it happen or not. So, do you want me to go through the packet or get to the bottom line?
Go through it briefly.
Okay. Briefly, the first page is the things that we have done in the last 3 months. The first section is on revenue. The second section is on expenses. So, briefly, we have done notifications to all of the patients of the clinic that Brenda's now there. We've raised rates on long-term care patients. We've limited home health patients. The service area, they were driving a really long way, which is a non-profitable venture. We're working on shortening the coding and the billing time and increasing efforts on collections. That just basically means getting the money in the building as fast as possible. We're looking at credit card payments, and we're providing the letter and calendar of services offered to all the outside physicians. So, for instance, if someone from Stafford happens to doctor in Pratt, they know that Stafford has these services available at their hospital. That physician knows, and that if that physician's referring them for something, then they can have it done here at the hospital. On the expense side, we've had 3 layoffs, plus we've had 3.5 employee resignations. The half is someone was only part-time and quit. We also did not replace the CFO or physician, but you have us, and that kind of takes the place of the CFO. We have changes in the nursing schedule, we have changes in the health insurance, which we've told you about. We have possible savings in supply costs and pharmacy contracts, which that's kind of a domino effect. Some things have to happen for us to be able to grab hold of those savings, which I can explain in later detail. We have an ACE educational contract that we're currently looking at trying to somehow do differently. We are looking at every service and every contract to determine if we continue. Is it necessary? Do we provide it at a loss? What are the functions that this hospital needs to look? And that's the conversation we've had before on things may look differently. All departments are on low census call, which means if there are not patients, one person from the department goes home and they kind of spread that around. We canceled the school nurse contract, and that's not something we really wanted to do because we understand that it helps the school out. However, it's not conducive for us. We lose travel time, disruption of workflow, and we're running out of nurses at the hospital in order to be able to send someone to the school on a 3-hour in the morning, which is the busiest time of the hospital basis. Evaluation of labor costs, because we are changing job descriptions and cross-training on employees. And then EMS, we had a conversation with them last week, and because of the way we're changing the nursing structure, EMS has been very willing to help in case of emergency. They'll stay in the emergency room. Obviously, they won't work outside their scope of practice, but they will be a body to, do compressions or to take vitals or just to be a body in the building to help if there is some kind of traumatic issue that goes on. The overall outlook for Stafford Hospital is, at the moment, we need cash. Broken record, I know. We can't continue to provide service or meet conditions of participation. That is because one vendor has given us an ultimatum. There is one vendor who wants $37,000 by December 23rd, or they're going to stop providing services. And unfortunately, that is physical therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy, evaluation and management services, and we have to have that to be a hospital. I have not called them back to tell them the situation. I will do that pending this meeting. I wanted to either say we're working on X or we're working on Y, or we have tax money in January. I wanted to be able to give them information that was most updated. We are getting daily calls for payments, requests. We are getting daily threats of, we're going to send you to collections, all those fabulous things. So my ultimate, what you guys wanted was the two numbers. The minimum number is $150,000, and the no fund warrant amount is $450,000, and that's what this hospital needs to survive. I believe that would be the only amount that we would need beyond the regular tax monies that you guys have allocated. It is my opinion, Kelly's opinion, that we can survive on a month-to-month basis going forward with the amount of tax money that you're currently giving us. It's the back stuff that we can't catch up on. So the no fund warrants would be a one-time request for the back payment. Obviously, the last option is for the facility to close, and that's at your discretion, how you see to move forward. The next page shows that our accounts payable balance is $440,000, and our cash balance as of the end of November was $12,200. Obviously, that poses the largest problem. That's the crux of the issue. People want to get paid for the bills that they have with us, and we don't have the cash to pay. So what I've listed here is those people that are calling with either the threat of suspension of services or collections. The first one is Hospice and Home Care of Reno County. They do provide PT, OT, and ST. They have not been paid since July. We owe them $76,529. They want a payment of $37,000 by December 23rd. They essentially want the other half by February 2nd, and then a full-blown monthly payment every month going forward, or they'll suspend services. This is a conditions of participation with Medicare, so if we don't have it, the hospital doesn't qualify to be a hospital. That's a very big deal. There are other options, but anyone else that we go to is going to want money up front on an ongoing basis. And so that has issues in and of itself. The other large one is C, which is Promise Regional Medical Center. They run the pharmacy coverage and drug supplies. We owe them $24,000. I have a scheduled call with their CFO tomorrow. I have explained the situation via email, but he still wants to talk about it. He hasn't said they won't stop services, but his email kind of led me to believe that that may be where we're going with him. We have not paid for employee health insurance. That's the $46,000 a month for the last 3 months. Doc2 Care has not been paid, and they are contacting us on a regular basis. And essentially, they could send us to collections for what we back owe them. The issue with them is going to be if we ever need coverage again, they won't cover without payment up front or payment of dispatch money. So it's not an immediate issue like the therapy services, but it is an issue that could impact us going forward. PRMC hasn't been paid. We're on a cash basis with our supplier, and there's a couple other small ones that are threatening collections. Page 3 is the current cash balance. This is like what you guys have seen before. Our cash balance on Friday was $66,602. I know that we're going to get another $20,000 this week in Medicare deposits. Based on the average collection for the last 3 months, we have approximately $50,000 left to collect. I will tell you the last 2 weeks of December are the absolute worst for collections industry-wide by anybody because nobody wants to pay their hospital bill they're paying for Christmas. So $50,000 is probably going to be a stretch, but that's kind of what we're expected to receive. We do have a payroll on 12/28, so that's approximately $75,000. That leaves us a balance of $62,000. And what I've listed out there are the vendors that we know we need to pay. I will point your attention to the middle two, property insurance and inland marine. The beginning cash balance includes the down payment for workers' comp, for directors and officers. What I don't have yet is property and inland marine because all of those insurance renew January 1st. So last month we were able to make a small payment to several vendors because we had the amount of cash collected exceeded the amount of payroll. This month we can't do that because we have to pay all of the insurances for January 1st. Property insurance last year was $14,000 and inland marine was $56,000. We are getting a quote from Chubb. In my experience with Chubb actually does not require you to have an inland marine. Basically they have their property insurance kind of rolls it all into one, and inland marine just covers all the equipment on the inside of the building. So they roll it all into one. I am hoping, and I have asked for our inland marine to be removed, which means we would only owe the $14,000, but I don't know that yet. I haven't gotten a response from the insurance agent or from Chubb. They're still working on it. So that's $263,000 that essentially needs to be paid. That's $200,000 in the whole balance of cash. And then the remaining $181,000 would be what is due for the rest of the accounts payable out of the $444,000. The last page is the estimated income and expense statement for 2012. So I'm going to walk you down through this and tell you where, obviously this is an estimate. I'm basing this on history and some of the actions that we've taken at the facility. The first column is per month, so you can see on a monthly basis and then the annualized basis. So we have, in the last 3 months, collected approximately $278,000 in cash. And the reason I did it that way is because we don't know what revenue is going to be based on people's usage of the hospital. It fluctuates greatly, but our cash collections have been fairly consistent. And some of that's going to depend on if Brenda's clinic business takes off or if it doesn't, if people use the hospital. Obviously that's the best way to help us at this point in time. So that's $278,000 per month, $3 million per year, plus the $475,000 from the county for next year. And then the first line payroll taxes and capers, that's the per payroll cash amount for the month. Health insurance at $23,000. The rest of those numbers are based on historical, less monies that I know we've removed, and some percentage that I think we can eliminate. Insurance is actual, which is lower than last year. We do have a couple rather large carrots dangling out there that we could get. One is the pharmacy and supply coverage. Currently we have pharmacy and supplies through a vendor. We can get onto the group buying program that Pratt Regional Medical Center has, and it's a lower cost to the hospital. We can't do that until we resolve the pharmacy issue
With Hutch.
with Hutch. Because I don't have any pharmacy, if we move vendors, I don't have a pharmacy coverage, and that's a really big, we're not doing that. So it is available out there, we gotta get to a point in time resolution on the pharmacy issue. Insurance is lower than last year, our quotes actually came in less, so that's a positive thing. Travel reimbursement, we could eliminate all travel except for home health, obviously that's a part of their business. I've asked everyone to only travel as necessary, and we could put the edict down to not do that. We also could put the edict down to buy nothing minor equipment-wise that's not needed. What happens in those cases is you end up stripping the hospital of its ability to take care of patients in a quality manner, maybe, depending on the minor equipment. You know, if it's a pencil sharpener, not a big deal, but if it's a defibrillator in the ER, obviously that's really important and we have to do that. So as you can see, next year, on its own, with the tax money from the county, we would be $126,000 in the hole, which is extremely acceptable and very doable for a hospital this size, Medicare cost report. This does not have cost report implications in it. So I have to run those numbers, and the auditors are working on that. So what we're behind then and need the extra money for is the cash needed for the back accounts payable from this year.
And where in there do I see the Medicare settlement?
That's their cost report thing.
Yeah, and we have no idea what that's gonna be.
Totally depends on volume. Our volumes have changed this year.
This is dramatically lower, so it would mean the payment would be lower.
Well, except our Medicare percentages decreased.
Right.
Medicare percentages decreased this year, which means your payment for Medicare would be lower, even if your
I
total.
mean, the patients that are
The
Medicare
percentage of
qualified,
Medicare patients the hospital is seeing is decreased.
Yeah,
that's actually a good thing, isn't
it is
No.
if they're going,
Not for
not for cost
taxes.
support.
No.
it? Not for what we're wanting.
Yeah,
Patients in general have decreased,
Right.
so your Medicare patients have decreased also.
Let's see.
And as a percent to total, Medicare has gone down the last 2 years.
But you still have no idea what that monies would be. No, I mean, none of that's concluded in this figure. You're asking for a lump sum, but you don't know if that's gonna be $50,000 or $100,000 or $200,000.
Right, my guess it's gonna be close to $100,000.
That interim report was 50.
Right, and that was for half a year,
Right.
which they've changed the rates for, which means you might get
So your
100,000.
best guess is
My best
100,000.
guess is 100.
Best
And
guess.
none of that's included in this?
No,
Okay, so there's a possibility of $100,000 money's coming.
depending on the volumes.
Which would put us close to break even with the tax dollars and the projections.
True, and so my question there is, when you figure that in, do you take it off of this figure, or are we gonna put it back towards last year when it was earned? How does the accountant look at
An accountant would look at it booked in the year that it was earned, not received. So financially, it would go on
that this year?
2011, and then 2012 would go on 2012, even though it's not done until 6 months or a year later.
May I?
Uh-huh.
Sure.
First of all, I don't know if you understood what she said, but I'm Rita Berman. I'm from eastern Kansas, and I've been the administrator of a critical access hospital for 30 years. And, since the inception of the program, but was at the same hospital earlier. But saw the program develop, and critical access hospitals were never expected to make sums of money for their communities. They were expected to provide access to care and have emergency care available, but there was never an intent that critical access hospitals would be allowed to make more than 101% of their cost, which I also tell you could be affecting the future critical access hospital Medicare cost statements, because they're reducing that amount to 100% now. Their definition of approved cost is not what you or I consider cost. They delineate cost according to their definitions. So there is a huge issue of what happens going forward. Do I think critical access hospitals will disappear? No. Do I think their reimbursement will become less? Yes. Do I think the rules will change as far as mileage? Yes. There are several things that will continue to affect that pot of money in DC that's on the table for critical access hospitals. There is some realization of the economic impact of these hospitals throughout the country, so there is at least some awareness of what the program has done and how advantageous it has been to rural residents. A couple of things. I know when I first came here, I was a bit surprised at the financial status of the hospital, and I have been asking a lot of the history. I know there are some things that people are still asking why, but the reality of it is the hospital's going down in flames. There either has to be something done in quick action, or it will be gone and will close. There is no way that we can continue, nor was Critical Access Hospital ever designed to make the kind of money that it takes to pay off the back debts so that we can go forward and make it a reasonable critical access hospital according to the definition. You are very fortunate in this area. You have extremely well-trained nurses. You have extremely well-trained EMS. I actually was surprised at the certifications that the nurses carry in your small hospital. So there is a lot of good things that happen within those walls. Can it survive? Yes, I think so. I think the Pratt people think so. And I will tell you that I think the Pratt contract was one of the best things that was ever done for this facility. Small critical access hospitals without lots of resources just simply cannot survive anymore. It's good to have an outsider with resources such as finance, resources and knowledge such as Hillary, management of clinic expertise such as Kelly has, and the rest goes on. Pratt has a lot more employees than Stafford County Hospital ever had, and their expertise is needed, and I think it can be a very successful small rural hospital in the future. The issue of the no-fund warrants, I have heard different people talk about them, and I know there's always a reluctance to do no-fund warrants. And I certainly understand that. But I also think that the idea that people may protest, and it only takes so many signatures to protest a no-fund warrant, and I also understand that. But I guess I also feel strongly that when it comes to health care, sometimes it doesn't hurt to let the citizens vote. Sometimes it doesn't hurt to let them have their voice and maybe begin to evaluate what their healthcare system actually means to them, and then begin to ask some questions as to how they have supported it. Have they used the healthcare system? Have they done what they could in the community to improve it? Those are all questions that come about as a ballot takes place. So I guess as an outsider, as an objective person, when it comes to just the closure of a hospital because of financial duress, I guess I take the position that maybe it's best to let the citizens vote at that time. There may not be that opposition. It seems to me as I get out and about the community and have met people that there's a lot of support, a lot more support than I thought might even be out there. That was good news. Here again, I feel privileged to be here to work with Kelly and Hillary. We've had some very long days. We've had some painful times as we've laid off staff and made decisions about what the future needs to look like. And I will tell you that there is no service, no employee's job description that is not being looked at carefully as to whether they're important to the survival of this hospital.
And
does anybody have any questions for me?
Go ahead, you want to talk.
no, I'm just saying that, being a former board member of the hospital, we were pretty much in the dark as far as, the audit reports. We had no idea what they even meant. And we had, at that time, a board member that was a professor in accounting. And he
How
could
do you
make
do
it.
healthcare finance?
He could make a head or tails out of it. You know, and I realized, you know, the frustration because once you submit a bill, you know, you might not get that money in for, what, 6 months?
Yeah, our average is 65 days,
So,
which is still quite a long time.
you know, there was complaints that I heard, you know, for why didn't the board know about this? Well, the board only knows what they're told.
Right.
And if they were getting a little smoke and mirrors, you know, we think everything's okay and then find out it's not. So, you know, I realized that the dilemma. The thing is that if the hospital were to close, there's a huge economic impact on the county. Not only in revenue, but as far as potential people moving to this county. Is one of the first questions they're going to ask is,
Right.
what's your health care like? So I think it's important we keep the hospital open. It's just that, you know, we've got to trim, and you are. I commend you for that.
The amount of employees that have left is 11%, a little over 11%. The hospital was not, we're probably pretty close to where we need to be. We may not have people in the right place. There may be somebody here that needs to be there, or some jobs that need to be covered, but I don't really think that we're going to get any more large savings out of employee reduction. And I am, Rita and I and Kelly are a little bit concerned. If we lose any more nurses, we may not have enough bodies to cover all the hours, which means then you're going to begin paying overtime or agency, which we don't want to do. And I know the staff is very worried. I know they're concerned, and a lot of them have shared things with Rita and with Todd on their concerns. And I feel badly that we cannot share with them that this is either going to be good or bad, or it's going to do this or do that. And I think the unknown is always really crappy, unfortunately.
One of the things I've heard a lot of people say, staff, people in the community, is we need another doctor. And I will tell you that there may be potential for that someday. But I also will tell you that in putting together a clinic with 5 doctors in it, I know that as I recruited the last 2 in particular, it was in the last 7 years, and they asked for 2 things. They asked for their contract and they asked for the audit report. These young people are savvy coming out of medical school, and they're not going to a place in this kind of financial shape. Now, is there a chance in the future? You bet. Kinsley just got one. Ellen's got 2. But you got to be on the ground running. You've got to have your finances in shape, and you've got to be able to tell this doc what you're going to do for them. They don't come to a community just because it's a nice community.
Well, I guess it seems like, and Mrs. Roger passed on too, related to, at the year end, you had all this money coming in from, you know, like $1 million or something. That's what you said, right?
Last year, we had to pay back $1 million.
Pay back $1 million. So you don't have any idea of how much you're gonna have? Can't you have a ballpark guesstimate? Are you saying maybe 100,000?
Right.
Yes, the appropriate way to do the monthly financials is to do an estimate of the cost report receivable every month, and that can be done. And that will be set up beginning in January. Part of the issue is I know and I don't know all of the things that we're doing. There is no one at the hospital besides me and Kelly and Rita and Todd's Learning who understand anything about how the cost report works, financials, how to book anything beyond the basics. Karen is doing an excellent job. She's done everything I've asked, but we still have issues. The bank statement won't reconcile because the system has a problem with it. There isn't anybody at the hospital who knows the system and finances well enough to be able to tell me why that is. Now, I got everybody working on it from the system side, and Karen is trying her best, but part of the issue is I think that we just don't have some full-time financial expertise to go in and get into all of the nitty-gritty and fix all those things. Absolutely, yes. Your financial statements on a monthly basis should include an estimate for the cost report. So there are no surprises. Now, estimates can be wrong, absolutely. But you should get a financial statement on a monthly basis that has an estimate that's just darn close to what it is that we're going to get by the end of the year, once you put the cost report money in there, it shouldn't be that hard to do.
That is a perfect example of what the board went through in the past, where there was just no information.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, and we went through several months thinking the hospital was making all this money, and then we're told, oh, and by the way, we have to pay the government back $1.3 million. And that's the first time you're told about it. Well,
Was there an interim done that year?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
Okay.
The problem that they're referring to is you had a low census and they upped your Medicare
Right.
reimbursement rate.
Which they do.
And then you had a doctor and you ended up with
Okay.
a lot
High
of
census.
usage.
And they
And
didn't
they
do an
paid you
interim
on
cost
that.
statement to,
They paid you on the high rate and then all of a sudden you get a bill. And instead of having that money, which at the end of one year it showed we had all that
Right.
money was what you saw. But if you looked at the second page, luckily, the guy in Wichita, the CPA,
Jason?
got us the information so we didn't spend the money.
right.
Because otherwise it could have been worse, because otherwise we weren't being told that we had that liability.
you would have been here earlier.
Well, a lot bigger number
Yeah.
at that point.
So that's an example of what the board went through.
Right.
And it's very frustrating because as a board member, you ask, well, how is this determined? How do you, well, and everybody's like, well, it's some mystical formula that nobody seems to be aware of. And I've asked the question of you and everybody. I realize it's an estimate, but somebody should be able
We can.
to know how it works and explain it to somebody on the board or a commissioner who has to make these decisions and give them a reasonable estimate of where we're at. It shouldn't be that difficult.
Right.
And as a board member, I know how frustrating that was because we never got anything, any information. It was like, oh, it's just too hard to explain to you. Or whatever. So-
Well, when you add a new provider, you immediately need to begin to recalculate your numbers
But
because,
as far as this conversation, my hope was that that number would be fairly large based on what happened to us the year before. But what you're saying is it's not going to be that
I don't think so.
significant.
The interim
Well,
cost,
$100,000 is significant,
right, but it doesn't get us out of the hole.
but it's not going to be $500,000.
Right.
But I guess we're here and the back page gives you what you were asking for as far as could the hospital maintain after this on the tax dollars.
Well, what were you meeting immediately?
Well, you have that. Yeah, you have that too.
That
but You also asked about after this, if the hospital could maintain.
Yeah, there were two separate questions.
Right, and the back page is dealing with that subject. You gotta realize they're estimates, but that's the only thing you can have going forward that way. Now, the first is how much it needs to get to that point.
Immediately.
Well, part of it immediately, part of it, the non-funded warrants need to be, the process needs to be started. If it's protested and put to a vote, then it is, but if it's never started, we're gonna be 2-3 months more down the road, and there isn't gonna be 2 or 3 months more down the road. We might as well find out if it's gonna happen or not, and go forward. And it may or may not get protested, I have no idea.
Unless there's some very large benefactor out there who wants to give a bunch of money to the foundation, please put that in the newspaper.
yes,
I'm not the
please do.
newspaper.
Well, I don't care, but I mean,
Or the
pass that on to
foundation.
Yeah.
Put it on the website.
Put that on the thing, unless there's some really nice person that wants to give us much money.
It gives you the numbers, but if we don't ever start that non-fund warrant, which we've been 2-3 months into and we're no further than we were, then we never get to that point. And we all know it doesn't happen overnight. And I don't remember, one of the times we were here, what, if it is protested, the election is down the road a ways too.
Well, it looks to me like we're a lot further down the road. We can answer questions that people ask of us, we can answer questions that we ask of ourselves. First of all, is there hope? And you just answered that question.
Yes, I do, I really do believe after looking at all of the finances and looking at what we can do and continue to evaluate, and like I said, nothing's off the table. If something's not making money, you have to cut the service. That's what a critical access hospital does. So yes, I think there's hope, and yes, I think it's important to the county. But can I guarantee you what that bottom line will be when the feds get through with us? not exactly, but I think we can learn to cope. I've always said we just keep looking around the corner to see what they're doing, and then we try to,
Based on what you've done currently, without any further looking around the corner, you think that it can be viable?
yes.
You're all in agreement? What do you think, Mary?
I have to go with their expertise because, you know, I've gone through the same thing
I
you all
want to know
did.
what you feel.
And,
You've
you
been
know,
there
we've
for a
always
long
been
time.
frustrated with the computer system because the reports were, to me, were never really clear. It never really showed us what was
You
going on.
understood them way better than I did.
Well, but even then, I mean, I didn't understand why they didn't show us some of those things that I still don't understand, you know, why you can't reconcile.
Oh my
And
God,
that
that's
is
so
just-
beyond me.
As much as I've been on the board, that's always been a thing with me.
I know.
But we're never able to seem to find out, you know, how come. But our county needs a hospital. We need to make it work. You have a new economic development chairman, person. Well, you know, if we lose the hospital, who are you gonna get to come to the county to help keep it going? I mean, it is an important thing that we need to make it work, and these gals think we can do that.
My concern for staff is that if we postpone activity too far down the line, more staff will leave, leaving us in a critical shortage of professional staff, and that in itself just creates more expense because it costs about $30,000 to orient a new nurse to her job duties. So that's another issue because staff is nervous. They are very concerned about their futures as well as the hospitals. So that's another issue.
It says you're needing immediate $150,000 right now. And where can we draw from? We don't have any pockets to get out of. Really, our accountant says, right? That's our problem.
It's not that we're not willing to help.
No.
Oh, you got a final answer that there is an emergency fund that you can give us? That wasn't the answer the last
We
time we
don't
were here.
have any emergency.
Well, I don't know what the name of the fund was, but I thought there was money available.
Well,
Yeah, there wasn't there?
After they look at the statute that money goes into that fund now, this doesn't qualify. That risk management,
We weren't told that.
Amber told you that.
When they were here, that isn't what I remember.
She said that the last meeting or that we were at, or,
You
oh,
were.
okay. The last time I was here, that was still a question you
Isn't
guys
that
were
what you
looking at.
understood too, from Amber?
Okay, crap.
When are you issued your, like, 20th of January, something like that, when they start getting their new monies?
Pardon?
When do we get their tax money in January?
Missy does it quarterly for the hospital. That's one of those manual.
When does it come, I mean, you know, like in January, is it the first week, second week, fourth week?
She does it February 1st.
Should be February.
Oh my goodness.
We'll be here. I'm sorry. I don't, now, I will do my best
That's the,
to beg and plead to every one of these vendors to get us to February. I was still under the assumption there was a little bit of money. I am most concerned about the pharmacy with Promise and the therapy.
food is now demanding cash
food is
when they
cash.
deliver.
Those two are large checks every month. Food we can kind of get by because you can do a little bit every day, which in the cash world is the easiest.
And we won't be able to skip health insurance payments beginning in January,
Right.
like the state was.
In January, we'll have 15 to 20,000, depending on the number of employees, that we will have to pay every month for health insurance. We also will be paying the insurance,
Well, I don't see without consent from the commissioners, I mean, I don't see why a check couldn't be paid early, but that's up to Nita.
Well,
Because
Well,
she
I
does
mean, I don't have
the
any problem if we
checks.
do what?
I said, I don't have any problem if we can't pay it, but we can't, you said because of.
Well, in the past we haven't, but I'm not saying we couldn't.
You know, everybody that gets the quarterly, we set them all up the same.
They're all on the same, but
And we,
if you want me to, we can cut theirs early.
yeah, well, that would be a
if
suggestion.
it doesn't come the second week in January, the hospital will be closed by February 2nd. I'm sorry.
And we've got to notify KDHE of the closure, impending closure before that.
The workers' comp schedule is $4,300 a month that we'll have to pay beginning in January, in addition to the other two.
Well,
And those are payments we have to make every month.
I have a question. I mean, instead of your quarterly, but, and I may be speaking out of turn, what if you get half of your payment right there in the beginning of January? Would that
Would
help?
that help? Well, we don't have to do it quarterly.
I mean,
It's up to you guys, how you.
Yeah, it's fine.
I was under I have no idea how your county stuff works. I was under the impression that's what we have to do. If you can change it and get it to me the second week of January, that would make life a lot better for the first couple months. Realizing though, we still have $444,000 in back money that we have to come up with somehow, because the 470,
So it's
whether
gonna
we.
need no fund loss, on state off.
But would that get you guys through this $150,000 if you got your money earlier
If
in
you got,
January?
like, half of
Would
your
that fill
money.
your gap?
If the vendors accept that, yes. And it's totally based on the vendors accepting, I can pay you the second week in January.
Is that what you did this for 12?
That was what was on the schedule, I think.
That's the only thing I can suggest, is just
Yeah,
try to
we
get
could
that
do
check out to you guys
Twice a year.
sooner,
Well,
and
the
instead
money's
of
committed,
quarterly
but once you gotta
payment,
get with you all,
and a half
once you
payment,
get
then you
quarterly
would
or
get the
how
other
it
half,
works out,
so.
I would think we just, if that doesn't fix the problem, it keep you going until we get no fund warrants, and that would, it's just gonna have to happen.
Yeah, they can have a check 1st of January, can they not? Is it possible? Or the 2nd or whatever day that happens to work.
It's on Sunday.
First week of January would be fine. I mean, the issue is I'm gonna call the vendors and begin to
You
say,
have to clear this with the.
we get tax money in January.
You have to clear this with the accountants, or is it
No.
our discretion?
That can be your discretion.
Okay.
And then if the no fund warrants are started and there is a petition that arises for protest, that is the way it is in a free country. And we will know at the end of that period of time whether this county supports this healthcare facility or not.
Right, and I think your point of it being an open debate is a good one. And it-
Right.
And I think it's
it will
also
raise-
our
At the very
job.
least, it will raise awareness.
Yes, and I think it is also our job to get out into all the communities in this county and talk a lot about healthcare, what healthcare means to a county economically, but also how people can help in supporting their local healthcare.
Like we've talked about it, maybe have some public meetings.
Yes.
I think that's very important to have the public,
I personally think it's the public.
and
decision
have
to
the
make.
public
I
there,
agree.
and get input
Not
from
my
them,
person.
and they would have an idea too to the
I
process.
just want to get it so we can get to that. That's
Right.
my goal.
Right.
Exactly. And if it's not protested, then I guess you've gotten your,
Well, you got your answer there.
yes, you've got your
It still
answer.
takes a while
But it does, correct,
to get.
which is why we need
Well, we
the
can
money,
get-
the
we can
cash,
get you
just to
6
get
months
through.
down the road, surely, with your tax revenues and stuff that are coming. And what you're doing,
But we need to get it started.
absolutely, understand that.
What
And I
is-
don't know the paperwork to that.
And for us,
So we have-
December doesn't even adequately address the savings, because with some of the employees that we laid off, they still had paid time off coming. Enough of it accumulated that it took them until the end of December. So we're still seeing some of that reflected in the finances.
What is the time frame for the no fund warrants?
It's a 60-day
60-day
after
protest
it's.
period.
After you publish it, you got 60 days, and then you got a protest period, and to protest it, then you got, like I say, go to the election, and it takes just a, small percent.
I'm not sure.
I think
Not
you
very
said
many,
5%.
5%, I think, of the people that,
The registered voters.
5%.
I don't know.
I mean, there's a number, but we've got to get the thing started
Understand.
so we can get to
But
there.
if we can solve this, we can,
Immediate
if we can advance the money, that they've got coming,
Short term,
if,
that will help her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this should keep you going until we actually get.
She doesn't have
no
any
fund
funds.
Me?
Yeah.
Some days, better than others.
I will tell you, the staff needs to be commended on their commitment to this facility. They've not had salary increases for 3 years. I think that's amazing. I have known a lot of places where professional staff would have walked a long time ago. So that speaks well for the citizens of this county.
Okay, how will we?
Okay.
Do you have your 2010 audit done yet?
Yeah, I sent it to you.
You
Did I?
did? When? I thought I did.
I can send it to you.
Yeah, because our auditors want it.
I guess Hillary will need to know if that is viable, that she'll get that money in the first week of January.
If we can legally do it, I don't have any problem.
We're
that's
getting
gonna
ready
be-
to the end of the year. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as soon as we get our bookkeeping through end of year,
So that may not
where I
happen
can
now.
open my books for the 12th,
Yeah,
that we're always in a tight squeeze.
we're probably talking the 9th of January, that first Monday meeting you'll have, because we've got to get the books
Well,
closed.
say the tax
before
pay's
we
already
can-
committed
yeah.
from, you know, that we've already planned the budget, so it's already
Right.
there, so either.
But we've got to get the books
If it
closed
doesn't
for
work,
11
you-
before we can start in
She
on
thought
12.
that would
yeah.
work. She's just gotta have an idea because she's gotta contact these people.
But you gotta have something to tell them.
And you want to
Yeah.
pay
Exactly.
half of
Definitely
their
don't do it.
disbursement.
Well,
Do you want half or first quarter?
What do you guys want to do?
I'll
take
take half.
Let me manage it.
I need half badly.
Well, that,
And then your next payment won't come till June, or probably July 1st,
and
because you're just
We'll
gonna
know
be,
funds will be, we'll know where that's at before then.
it'll be
Right.
a lot further down the road.
Yeah.
can I ask, when was the last time your checkbook was reconciled?
I cannot tell you that answer. According to the auditor, it's been years.
Yeah, see, the system, this computer system that they went on is where the hangup is.
It's in
And I
the
talked to
accounts receivable posting.
Right, and the accounts receivable posting, and I finally talked to the guy who worked, you know, because if you have a computer system on, you've got all this expertise, surely you can find out why it won't reconcile. Well, his explanation was in accounts receivable that when that money comes in, if I can remember this correctly, when that money comes in and we post it, some of it they can't post because there's a question about it. So we don't know for sure if we're going to actually get it. And so they put down what they think they're going to get. And this one is hanging out here.
That's fixable.
And
Yes,
that's
it
what
is.
eventually then doesn't reconcile.
And I will tell you that the hospital that I was at for very long uses the same computer system and the same financials.
how can you operate a business without?
Very, I thought
Yeah,
that.
You can-
I thought that
issue
To solve.
And so it's a staff issue as well.
It's never
Well,
been
that's
resolved.
what
That's
Hillary.
been my
I do not
Yeah,
understand it.
We
Why
did
something
get
costs that
Department
much
of
money.
Financials,
Actually,
that
it's a
they are
staff
working
issue.
very closely with
Well,
the,
and that's what he
required
needed to say,
people
was
on
a
meeting
staff
that
issue.
we finally have Department of Financials for the
I
first
wasn't doing it
time
right.
ever that we can share with
And
the
we have
department
that
managers.
accounts
So
receivable.
they know how to manage
You're right.
their
I know
departments and their staff.
And you can't go back and fix that.
I know where we are on the daily
Well,
process.
thank you, that's what I'm.
Because that was a
Okay.
code.
Karen's doing
Well,
it
the system
actually
goes
every
nine
day.
or something. You didn't have to time key.
She'll get it straight.
It went out of sight.
Hey, we need all this.
You just have to know what you're doing.
And that's what, you know, we talked about, Joe, well, you know, you
And that's
can
under the
research.
third auditor. He's not concerned with that because it's been going on for so long and over so many people.
It makes me want to come in and
Well, actually,
If it were so-and-so.
that system works very well for us. But we have had crackerjacks about.
Right.
So we'll probably need to increase the amount we listed since we don't have that.
Well,
It'll be whatever, the extra money we're gonna need
it's a whole.
for the no fund warrant is gonna be
because of
whatever
the
the outstanding accounts payable is at the
now
end of
being
December.
all messed up all
Or
the
January,
time.
so it might not
It's gonna
be
take
400.
something like.
No, it'll be
a
more than
while,
that. It'll be more
And
than
then retrain
Probably 550.
staff,
Well, because they
Yeah,
get that
550
in
or
cash.
six.
because something's
You
not
were able to help
going
them
in
with
right.
the cash.
That's what.
Yeah, that's why.
Go ahead, Ron.
Can I ask that we get an absolute statement that we are authorized to go forward with the no fund warrants and that we will receive money from the county at the earliest possible convenience?
Well, you got one of those so far. We're trying to deal with one issue at a time.
Okay.
And that is that we're gonna get you the money as soon as we can. As soon as physically possible.
And then we'll also require a motion to start the process of no fund warrants.
which is something we just need to discuss a little more. But yeah, we'll resolve
And
that.
you're thinking 550,000?
Sounds like, but you're not including the 100,000, I don't think, in any of that, so it
You
could
said
be
450, didn't you?
450,000.
Well, that was with the
Well, we need-
150
I mean-
immediate
If you're gonna
cash,
share
if
some,
we had that.
we need a number.
But you said no
That's what I was
fund
gonna point out.
But we're
Well,
not
and
getting.
I won't have that
we're
till
not
the
getting that
December
anymore.
financials are done.
So,
Okay,
we
remember
were
that.
We
then.
have to wait
total
well,
600.
I guess. Estimate it. I can get it first week of January.
Okay, so
Because
this
the
is-
accounts payable
this
all
is
begin the
addition.
first week of January.
For the county.
I mean, it'll be whatever the accounts payable is.
Well, I have one more question, what about your accounts receivable? The last time we talked, there was like $1 million plus out there.
No, there's 500,000. There's 600,000 in bad debt
We
and
were
500.
already writing off 600,000,
Over, yeah, in
because
collection.
there was over $1
agency,
million in
There's
accounts
six, yeah,
receivable.
it's in bad debt, which is uncollectible, essentially it's been written off.
And
There's
so-
500,000.
So you went through and you cleaned up your accounts receivable.
Yeah, and
You've
we're-
written off 600,000.
Over the years, active, yeah, I didn't do it, I mean, it's
Well, no,
been that
I
way,
mean,
yeah.
but-
There's
This
600,000
year.
in bad debt.
There was-
It's accumulation of everything that's been turned over to the collection agency that has not yet been collected. So some of it may be very old, and they can't
Well,
collect it.
yeah, I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying, but it was written off at this year, in this year. I think you're saying, okay, well, and then you have still 500,000.
Which we are currently, yeah, the girls are in the office are working on figuring out what's collectible and what's not collectible based
And
on
how
age.
much of that is included in this cost?
Well, just the cash collections for the revenue.
So you've got 500,000 out there, a certain percentage of that we will collect. Can we deduct some of that off of this $550,000 that we're asking for no fund warrants? Is that possible? Is that a possibility?
I
You
can't
understand
answer
what I'm
that,
saying?
I absolutely understand what you're saying, and my answer is maybe, depending on their accounts receivable, that 500,000 is very, very old. Their average accounts receivable is over a year. The chance of collecting something that's over a year old,
It's not very
so crap, yeah.
My concern is also that we need money to operate going forward. And so any of that comes in.
Well, my question, I guess that's what I was asking, is that part of your normal operating income?
Yes, yes.
Are you including it there, or is that something we can add on?
Yeah, it's
to
part of the average
Mhm.
collections per month.
But you're saying this is a one-time fix, and then you go back like we have been previously, and you
Under our best,
get,
best
and
guesstimate.
My best guesstimate is that things should roll fairly easily as a critical access hospital from that point forward, once we have all of the old debt cleaned.
now these no funds, paying it back, what's the period of time on that?
I think you said 4 years.
4 years? That's figured in your budget too, but they could,
No.
It's just a gift, never mind.
It
Gift
is,
from the taxpayer.
yeah, I,
Basically,
but I don't have any,
And then we figure out how to pay for it.
which is my tax.
yeah,
Okay, what I want then is, before, I mean, I'm willing to go towards the no fund warrants, but I want a really solid figure.
we have to have a figure.
We have to have a figure,
We
we
can't
can't
really
just,
do it here.
and obviously as low as possible. The lower it is, the easier it's gonna be to sell
Okay.
to the taxpayer. So,
That has to-
so all these questions I'm asking you, I want you to be at least able to answer and come up with it. You know, if there's a chance you're gonna get $100,000 from these accounts receivable, and we can reduce that, that makes it much more palatable. If we're gonna get $100,000 from Medicare, that makes it much more palatable. You throw $600,000 out to the people in the county, and they're already spending over $1,000 per person in this county to support the hospital, and you tell them, well, you need to divvy up another $1,500 per person, which is the way it's gonna be presented, it's gonna be hard to swallow.
I completely understand, but
So whatever you can do to reduce that amount,
some of that's gonna be, I mean, this, I understand what you're saying to me, I absolutely agree with you. Unfortunately, this projection doesn't include anything if the hospital, something at the hospital breaks. It doesn't include physician recruitment, it doesn't include a marketing campaign, it doesn't include any of the things that we need to do to be able to grow the hospital. So any of those additional things, any money that we get, like what you're talking about, which I would call an extra windfall out of normal operations, in my professional opinion, we would be used for those things.
and I understand that, and that's, you know, But those questions need to be answered to the
Okay.
public and to us. And if that's the way you're gonna proceed, then that's up to you guys.
Well, I don't
But
understand.
I want you to, I want to be able to answer that question.
Okay. I don't
I
know
want
that
you to be able to answer that
the
question.
building, I mean, if the air conditioner at the building breaks, who pays for that? You or us?
We do.
We do. Say, we have no reserve for anything like that if something were to happen at the building. I don't know how old the building is, it's obviously got some age on it. From the green tile, I can tell that, but I figured out a pay.
color, not green by something growing.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's one of the cleanest hospitals we've been in.
Oh, it's
You're
real
directing
bad.
Lisa and I to pay the first half of their 2,000 as soon as we can in jail. And we're going to pursue no fund warrants as soon as a firm
As soon as they
figure
come
is
up with-
provided.
And I think, I would like to have it, again, this'll kind of advantage us, like, we get the money right away, so it gets it going, then we get, I think I'd like to go ahead and have a public meeting then too, prior to no funds, to see and let the people know what's going on, so they have an idea of what you're
We have
spending
time
money
for all
on.
this?
I think it'll
I
have a
was
lot,
just going
I
to
think
say
it'll have a
Rome is
better,
burning.
a lot better chance of being
Public
successful
meetings are
if
good.
I think we start the no fund warrants if we can, and then we do our public meetings
Try to
during
educate.
that 60
Okay.
days. Because we can't, we
Yes.
can't keep delaying it.
Whenever we
The
start.
problem is that $475,000 is needed every month to cover the operational shortage. And if there is no cash available today, and so the way I get through today is I borrow from tomorrow. We just put tomorrow on the burner. I can't, because we need $475,000 just to operate in 2012, which I'm now using to pay part of 2011,
okay.
which is,
If you're starting on hold.
yeah, absolutely starting out in the hole.
Okay.
Have you
Okay.
changed your policies on your collection? What is your policy? I mean, are you looking at that?
Everybody's supposed to pay their bill within 30 days. I don't think anybody in the world knows that about the
Okay,
healthcare
but-
industry, but
But
Yeah.
what's your policy if it's not?
if they go to collections after I think it's 5 months,
And
we're
what's-
shortening that to 4
What's your
months.
percentage of collection rate if it goes to collection? I mean, how firm are they in getting collections done for you?
Oh, they're pretty firm. They're one of the top companies in the state.
And what do they
what
charge
do.
you for that?
Oh, I don't know. It's a percentage, and I don't remember.
25.
Yeah, it's 25 or 30. I just can't remember which one. Yeah, we don't want people to go to collections because it costs a fortune.
I know.
So.
What about people paying so much a month? We have that rate, because we were extremely.
That is the next project that we're working on in the business office.
Huge issue.
Send a letter that, thank you for your payment, that you owe X amount every month from now on, otherwise we're sending you to collections. That's the
Because
next
we were like
project.
$5.
$5, yeah, so it's just
Up
nothing.
to 20, which took an act of Congress almost. Oh, we can't force these poor people to pay.
And some of
Remember
that
that?
is
And we were-
healthcare in general, and people's perception that healthcare is a right or an entitlement, and so therefore they don't think they should have to pay for it, and if they don't have money, hospitals, as an industry standard, don't usually charge interest. Obviously, if you have 2 bills to pay and one is charging interest and one is not, you pay the one that's charging interest, those kinds of things.
Which is why we're putting in a credit card machine.
Yeah. So we can take
Yeah.
those from the payments.
You don't need to be the banker, that's someone else.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
And, we started with the, having them pay their copay, because when we were first on there, they weren't having that done either.
Collecting.
All these little things add up.
Oh, they do.
A lot, especially when you count on a cash flow basis.
Right.
Now, I have a question about the credit card deal too.
Uh-huh.
I take credit cards in my office, but I have to charge the customer the convenience fee. I cannot accept the 1.5% or 2% less because I'm a government entity. Is that the same case with you?
I don't know the answer to that question because since we're a
Because-
county hospital, I haven't asked the attorney that. That's on my list in the research process.
Okay, but yeah, you might be sure to stay clear on that.
If it is, we probably won't do it without being able to pay it.
Well,
I'm
some of
guessing.
your bills that would be really high for a convenience fee, yeah, it really deters a lot of people in my office too.
Right.
We were in a city facility and that had been changed to a 501c3 and we did not have to do that.
As the city. It's on the list of things to validate.
They're
The city
having,
hospital, I don't know about
I
the
just don't
city.
know.
they're having a big issue in Sedgwick County about that right now. They've lost like $1 million in revenue because they did accept. Yeah, so it's a
Oh, yeah,
really
it's not
issue.
cheap, yeah, absolutely.
Well, we
Not
lost
cheap.
$1 million in revenue because we gave our own credit, so.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a question, just for the future. How often should myself or somebody from the hospital come to the commissioner meeting? Or would you guys want a weekly, or?
So far, you've seen me once a month,
Yeah.
not more
Okay.
often.
More often.
I think there needs to be some kind of dialogue
I think we need to
all along,
have
and not
more
just when we're
while
in
we're
this.
in a position like
We
this.
felt pretty
Communication.
starved for information here.
Yeah, we did.
It's really hard to make decisions without good information.
Exactly.
But, once you're on your feet, we don't want to see you every week.
Once a month.
Once a month.
Whenever you feel a need, please feel free. Any questions or any.
Plus, I think it's important that you know the good things that are happening too.
That's right.
So we can
That's
pass that
right.
along
Now,
to
we were
taxpayers.
starting this process 6 months ago, but I know we wouldn't do
Now,
that.
I do have one more question. This $76,000 that goes to hospice and home health care in Leon County, does Stafford County Hospital make any money off of that?
Not on that particular
$76,000? Did we get
We,
was there more money
we make-
generated
no,
and
we,
they got 76 and?
no, we pay them to send a PT over here to do an evaluation. We pay them to drive here, we pay them to do the evaluation, we pay them to drive home, and then we pay them for mileage. The only thing that we can bill for is the actual evaluation. And that evaluation, we can bill it as high as we want, but we will only get paid what our contract or Medicare or Medicaid will pay us, which is far less than the
And the cost.
cost for that PT.
We're looking at that, that's one of the things we're looking at to see, are we over providing? Can we provide less? What's the minimum amount we have to provide to meet the conditions of participation? And as soon as we have that, then we will adjust that contract accordingly. And or see if that's something PRMC would be able to provide at a cheaper rate. But we're still researching that. Now the PTA makes money for us with the visits that she sees because we pay her, she's our employee. But anytime we contract out, it's not making money for PTOT or speech.
And Kelly had her, what did she say, her second busiest month since 2000 and something when she began keeping statistics in the physical therapy department
In November.
in
The
November.
catchiest she needs is supervisor, which is a registered physical therapist, which is what that charge is for.
How
We
often
can't
do
get that from Brad?
That's
That's
what
what
we're
you're
That's what
looking
we're
at.
talking, yeah.
we know how often does
We're not, I just had an appointment with Kelly for today because I wanted to research the conditions and find out just exactly
how
what's
often that person
required.
has to come?
I think it's
Well,
less than they
a
are.
PT, a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, and a speech therapist has to do the evaluation of
Right.
management. Kelly cannot do
Yes, I
an
understand that.
evaluation and
But
treatment plan.
But how often does the PT come to do that evaluation?
That's what we're looking at.
And they do have to reevaluate too
Right.
during the course of treatment, but I'm not sure exactly what the time frame is. We've just started on that service and
Okay.
saying this is another apple on the tree that might be able to be picked off.
So if you had your own PTOT, then you would say you made $76,000. If you had, I'm just.
No, because it
The
would cost
point
you way
I'm
more than
making-
that.
It'd be cheaper to hire, yes, we would make money if we hired our own.
Okay.
We might be able to support a PT. There is no way that we have enough volume to
Right.
support an OT or a therapist, a speech therapist.
I
But yes,
understand.
what you're saying is if I hired a PT, I would bill for all of her time,
Right.
and that billings, because there's no drive time, should cover all of the salary associated with that PT.
Because the point I'm making is, and I know I didn't dream this, so back me up. At board meeting, would say physical therapy is increased so many patients, and physical therapy is becoming more and more busy. Home health care, and and we're making money. That's not true. If if you have to pay $76,000,
Right. You're not making money.
you're not making
You're
money.
not making money.
All
And
right, now in home health care, they said, they're all getting these requests for even far away as Pawnee County,
Right.
We just can't go that far, but at the end of every month, or at every meeting, was home health care made $100,000, or whatever the figure was.
Home health
Did
care
they?
is making.
home health care is breaking even, maybe contributing a little bit to their overhead. What you have to remember in a hospital is, yes, you always look at revenue producing departments to see if they are covering their cost and contributing to overhead. But you never say that they're making money until you actually aggregate all of the overhead, because they cannot operate without dietary, housekeeping, laundry, accounting, blah, 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 blah. So, yes, home health is a break-even operation or slightly contributing to their overhead, which for home health is really good. That's about as much as you can
Okay.
expect. PT is making, well, Kelly is making money in her department based on what she does. So let's forget the PT from Hutch, but she is. So what we would say is, yes, she is a profitable department and she is contributing money to the overhead. Unfortunately, in her case, she's got a really expensive PT that she has to cover, and she's not making enough money to cover the rest of that PT.
She can't work hard enough.
Okay.
She can't make the overhead they're charging.
But see, it was a misconception.
Right.
That,
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
We have lots of those.
I've come to find out.
Yeah.
And
I
I
know,
will,
and
and I will back you up on that.
And Mary, do I get a thumbs up for that?
Yeah.
Because I know that in my past experience, the money makers was lab X-ray
Right.
and pharmacy.
And those
There's
are still
and
money-making departments.
room rates. There was money. There was profit on the daily fee of a room. But with Medicare, it came back, as a cost plus,
Right.
So the three main money makers had to go cost plus, so our room rates went up. So to offset what we were losing in those three revenue generating departments. So, but that I was just, I'm just appalled to think about, $76,000 going out of county.
Right.
But you don't think so.
We're gonna try our hardest.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna try and get
All
it
right,
out.
so
I appreciate it.
the first Monday of January, or the first meeting in January of 2012,
When do you
we'll
meet?
have at least 8:30.
You meet the second?
January 2nd?
January the 2nd.
No.
We'll close the 2nd.
Well,
Huh?
New Year's Eve, it'll be third.
Third.
But we
Third.
can't get that check on the 3rd.
No.
I
No,
will,
we were
No.
talking about
I will-
Fund warrants.
Oh.
I will try my darndest to have it by the 3rd. It may be the 4th or 5th, depending on how,
They'll need to get on the 9th.
Was it the 9th or?
well, I'll send it to you ahead of time so you know.
Either the third or the ninth. Should be good enough to get this thing going.
If you have some definite answers, these creditors are probably be more encouraged than you might be paying.
Right.
You can give them an answer.
Right, at least you get an answer.
And I'm sorry that we don't have this box over here with a lock on it.
Would be nice, but that's not the way it is.
Full of cash.
I tried the tree thing, it just doesn't work.
Okay.
All right.
I would just like to say thank you, and I thank you for the opportunity of being in Stafford County. I've met some very, very nice people here. It's a good community. All I can say is I will work my hardest as long as I'm here. I will eventually return to my home, and I'm hopeful when I come through here the next time, this hospital is a profitable little hospital. So, thank you.
Thank you.
If you guys need some other different information, you let me know.
Y'all have a happy holiday. See you next week.
I've heard your name mentioned, and I really do appreciate your input.
Oh, thank you.
My granddaughter is Nikki.
Oh, is she? Oh, good. Yeah, she's a good nurse. Good nurse.
So I've been told by other people.
Thank you so much.
Okay, David.
We'll make it work.
I believe you will. very confident. I like that. That's what I've been wanting to hear.
We're still in session, are we?
We're still in session.
Okay, real quick, I have a request for a, sunflower diversified for their grant for KDOT every year. We sent them a letter of support.
And you want to go into executive session?
I have one thing that does not require executive session, and one that does.
I move that we send this letter of support to Sunflower Diversified.
Okay.
I second it.
So, been moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Absolutely. Would be worth a conversation.
Go ahead. Carol.
Do you want to do first? I'll have one thing that does not require executive session, and one that I will ask. So I guess I'll cover the first one that does not. There is a new opportunity to apply for the public lands highway program. And I know you've given me the information on it. I guess maybe I just want to make sure that this is something the county wants to do before I finalize that application. I'm looking at applying with the cost of improving the road between 4th Street and the entrance of Quivira, and that is almost a $1 million application. It's not, it's actually a township road, so it would require some things on your behalf. Another consideration is that it operates on a reimbursement, so there would be some, although some of it sounds to me like once you get past the engineering, KDOT handles the contract administration and so forth, that there would be some upfront costs in the beginning that the county would have to pay for the engineering and so forth to get reimbursed. So you know that, I just want to make sure that that truly is an obligation that you're.
About that. Did he say that he thought this would be some money that so it has to be a later grant or for this? I thought he said last time.
Well, that was Harry, and Harry's retired now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I've already done a fair amount of assembling it and so forth. I've talked with Quivira. One of the things that I'm trying to get in writing, which I think that they will, is a letter of endorsement from the regional office of Fish and Wildlife Service that's basically stating that within their transportation, this is a priority. Having that kind of documentation, I think, will be helpful. At the same time, there's a lot of competition for this money nationally. I don't know how realistic this is.
Was it 90% grant or what? 90%?
It's 100, but one of the things that counted against us apparently last time is that we asked for 100. I mean, they like it when they show, that you're contributing something to it yourself. So I made an estimate of what Philip had, for example.
So we've already applied and been denied once,
Right.
but we don't know why we were denied.
I asked for feedback, and it was some of the things that they cited were, just generally that there's a lot of competition for limited. I mean, I think there was like $100 worth of requests for every dollar that they had, kind of thing. One of the things that will count against us just by statute in the beginning is that there's a statutory priority given to the 10 states in the country that have 3% of the federal lands. So it's basically all the western states have have statutory authority and we're not, I mean priority, and we're not one of them. So we compete for a smaller portion of the amount of that pie in the beginning. The idea that we didn't show a big amount of contribution to it counted against us. It doesn't mean there's not some possibility having a regional federal management agency endorse it and show that, you know, if they will actually articulate this, that within the 7 states or whatever that they manage, that this is a priority for them, that'll help, but it's still a program with a lot of competition.
Well, they'll have to buy some right away, I know, because I don't think that road wide enough to buy some right away, and that would be a contribution, plus the tree removal.
So Philip, you know, this isn't a concept, but so that's again where I say how much commitment is there at the county level, but he had estimated last year 20,000 as that in-kind, basically contribution for things like tree removal and preparing the bed and so forth. Kind of arbitrarily said, I don't think that's a lot of money for that type of work, and we can increase that, but I don't know that.
It does sound very reasonable, actually.
It sounds like it'd be
Those
big
little
mile
trees,
road.
I couldn't get it done for that.
Yeah, you gotta have trees and
Go
come
and
in
hire
right
a
away.
contractor.
So, is there a deadline on this?
December 26th.
You just like to wait till the last minute. What is it?
Well, it would give you a whole lot of advance. I mean, I participated in a conference call last week from Federal Highway Administration and worked on it last week some.
The
Kind of,
total cost of this project is estimated at $1 million,
yeah, I mean, again.
including everything, or, I mean, is that what we're trying to get is $1 million?
That's what we're asking for. And I've also called Kirkland Michaels, but they've not returned my call. I would like to have some of these estimates. I mean, I'm kind of going from what Phil gave me just on a piece of notebook paper. I would like to get somebody to give me something that is a written estimate, but I haven't gotten that.
Why don't you see if Phil can get that for you? Have you talked to Phil about getting it? I'm very serious.
Well,
We work with him and we pay him every year for their services, so I
You
mean,
mean Phil, you mean Kirkland Mike?
yeah, have Phil
Yeah.
contact him for, maybe
Yeah.
he can see who we're supposed to be dealing with. It varies from
I've
town.
called, yeah, I've called them. Based on the number that the roads department gave me, I don't know, yeah.
What he's saying is have Phil
Phil
call
do
in
that.
for you, he'll respond to Phil. You don't think Phil will do it for you?
Phil has outright told me this is not his priority.
Well,
So that's where we need, I don't know what kind of communication, you know, if this is a priority for you and.
well, I personally feel like it's a very worthwhile project.
Yeah, to open up that paved road to the,
I think that it could help it.
And
Everything.
he articulated the situation where we're closing roads in some areas and this doesn't, to open it in others. So anyway, if we're all clear on it, I'm glad.
Well, I think to answer your question, we're all supporting the project
Okay.
and want you to pursue. And you should get better estimates. And I think that our participation can be at least seen as being a lot higher than that with what we're willing to do.
but not an actual take, but we just have, you know,
But
work in kind participation, that's what we're looking at.
he's thinking of what it costs him just to pay the wages, where he should be looking at what it would cost to hire a contractor
Yeah,
to do
he's
this.
coming out of the bulldozers, $150.
If it was hired outside of what the county's equipment is, then it would cost dramatically more than $20,000 to remove those trees and build up that road bed. I'm thinking you're looking at 10% of the project, which would, I would bet, look a lot better.
And I'll talk to him. Okay, call.
You're gonna talk to Phil?
Okay, you need how much time?
I don't know how much time. 15 minutes.
Probably recess for that first.
Okay, we'll recess.
We better do 20, because we always do.
That's what I was.
Okay, we need the revised revised resolution,
For the
For the-
township roads.
minimum maintenance on
And
Cleveland
I
Township.
thought we couldn't act on this until.
Well,
Well, we have to oppose it.
You agreed with the board to take that one out, and so that's what I did.
Okay, this resolution 2011-20, resolution declaring certain roadways in Cleveland Township minimum rates. And I'll make a motion to approve this resolution.
I would second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. So we do it today's date, which is,
No, then it has to be published. Okay,
So it won't be until next week's paper.
all right.
And real quick, I have the agreement for the auditors and services. We still want to go with Adams Brown?
okay, Carolyn, you,
I'd like to ask you to go into executive session for 1 minute to discuss confidential data relating to financial affairs or trade secrets of corporations, partnerships, trusts, and individual proprietorship.
I'm not gonna be able to repeat that.
I read it too.
I second it. You made a motion, I second it.
I moved that.
I got
You
it.
wanna read it?
I already had it written down.
Okay.
Okay.
We're way ahead of this.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.